Hey, what's going on, everybody from Being Scared? I'm Dane, and you're listening to Fan Favorites. It's my new show where I interview your favorite horror movie characters. And today I'm joined by Jamie Kennedy. He's an actor and has appeared in over 100 movies and TV shows. He's a screenwriter, a producer, and professional stand-up comedian with his new special, Stupid Smart, streaming right now on Tubi. But today, I'm going to ask him to go back to 1996, where his character Randy Meeks from the first Scream, which is a game-changing blockbuster film, first appeared. Jamie, welcome to the channel.
Dude, what's up, man? How are you, Dane?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
Living the dream, man. Just trying to stay healthy.
All right, so let's jump right into it. So just for everybody listening, there's definitely a spoiler warning in effect right now. If you have not seen the Scream films and you would like to see them without any spoilers, then you're going to need to stop this video right now.
Who hasn't seen Scream?
Right?
It's 24 years ago. I mean, that's the equivalent of you asking me these questions in 1994, and I did a movie in 1970. Like, and if I'm any part of a horror person, I would have had to have seen The Exorcist. Let's say The Exorcist came out in 75. That's like you interviewing me in 99 and I didn't see The Exorcist. You have to have seen Scream.
I know. I'm just saying.
No, I know. But I'm just saying, people, that's nuts.
I guarantee you there's people that just listen to you say that and they're like, well, I haven't seen it yet. You know, stop what you're doing right now. Pause the video. Go watch the movies. They're the best horror movies that have ever been made. Let's do this. All right, so my first question is, during the filming of the original Scream, I've always wanted to know, was there anybody that, any of the cast members or crew that you really just got along with right off the bat really well, and in between scenes, you kind of just always gravitated towards them? You just kind of wanted to always hang out with them?
That's a good question, bro. It's a really good question. I mean, we all got along. I was kind of nervous, you know, during that filming of that, because it was my third movie, but my second real big movie right in a row, right after. And I was pretty much unknown at the time. And I just wanted to do my job as good as it can be. And there's a lot of moments where I saw people, like, everybody kind of like paired off, you know. There was like different people that, you know, had, like, you could see the connections happening, and but we all still vibed as a group. But I mean, Rose, sometimes we had off the same day, so we would eat. She was always cool to me. Nev, we shot a lot of scenes together in her room. Afterwards, we, you know, chill out. She introduced me to, like, good wine, and we would recap our day. She was always cool. Skeet, he was such a sports guy. He's such a super athlete and just such a chill dude. And so played ball with him a couple of days. Matthew, he's just like a real fun dude who introduced me to San Francisco in a new way. One day I went to the city with him and Nev. So I would say, like, I had moments with everybody, you know, and I, Earl and me hung out a lot. He was the camera guy.
Yeah.
David Arquette had some good parties. But him and Courtney were kind of becoming friendly, so they did their own thing. But a little bit, Courtney, one time, I think, like, we went out to eat, like a lunch or something. I don't know. I really just kind of I just kind of went wherever I could, but I kind of stayed to myself. And then once I got to know people, I went out but I did have moments with everybody, and everybody got along beautifully. And then Scream 2, though, I would say my buddy was Jerry O'Connell. Me and him hung out all the time. And Sarah Michelle Gellar. That was a trio.
Gotcha. Yeah, man. You know, some of these questions might seem a little unusual, but these are just things that I've always wanted to know. So I'm not necessarily asking them general questions for my audience. This is just stuff I've always wanted to know. So if they find it entertaining, I hope so. And if not, well, I apologize. So,
hey, no worries.
All right. So my next question is, you know, Woodsboro is obviously introduced in the first film. And, in my opinion, after all four films, Woodsboro almost seems like a character to me, you know, It's just so it's Woodsboro. And I wanted to ask you, out of all of the filming locations from the first film, did you have a favorite?
Good question too. I think the house. I think the house was really. I think it was scene 148 or something, and it was like our scene. It was like we did the movie. The first 3 weeks was like all around, and then the last 3 weeks was the house murder stuff.
Right.
I would say that house. Because that was like where we all were there. We all bonded. It was the same location every night. It was like summer camp. I was learning about stunts. I was learning about getting shot on set and guns and stabs and murders and campfires and laughs and and great soup, and it was cold and we were eating soup. And I think probably that house was probably the best place because we just all bonded there. I have a thing, and it's kind of really known, and but I'm gonna just repeat it because Hollywood has this elitism about it, and it's just really, really unfounded. It's really stupid, And an example of that was with this movie, because there's two versions of it. One is that when we went to film this movie, this question made me think it. We wanted to go to a school, and the school read the script and said, "No, we will never allow this movie. This is like horror porn or something,
Yeah.
And they said, we will never allow something like that in our school. So we went to another school, and they said, and they allowed another movie there called Inventing the Abbotts. And it was Liv Tyler and Billy Crudup and Ron Howard. And that was like the big award movie. And I never saw the movie, and I'm sure it's good, but that movie came and went, and Scream is just standing the test of time. And they thought we were like this little horror movie, and and then when we came out, Mars Attacks was the one that was supposed to do huge, and we were like, oh, what's this little horror movie? So it's just like, again, it's like, be cool to people on the way up, because you never know if they'll see them on the way down. I'm not like just in that way, you know what I mean? It's like, I remember it was really hurtful to Wes. People are really. He was like, yo, I just want to film a couple scenes here. And they're like, no, you're not allowed to do that. And then, oh, this movie. And then the rest is history.
Well, so much respect to the late, the great, the master of horror. At the end of the movie, Scream, in the credits, he actually says, when he's giving in the credits, he said, people, they do the thanks to this people, thanks to this people. And then it says, no thanks whatsoever to this school,
Oh, he did?
Yeah. At the end of the movie. Yeah.
Fuck them.
It's forever there, man. Forever there.
That's awesome. Yeah, he was really heated about it. It was more hurt. He was like, what do you mean? Like, I feel like that's like Wes's struggle, man. And like, wherever he is up there, hey, Wes, I'm waving to you. It's like, dude, think about it, bro. He just wanted to be known as a filmmaker. And people put him in this category as like, horror maestro. And yeah, he loved that. And I loved it. I was raised on his stuff. But he was just a filmmaker. And he could do it. And he did Music from the Heart with Meryl Streep. He's done other stuff. And it's so true what you just said. It's like, because it was a horror movie, he was profiled, And it's just, this movie, dude, the more time goes on, the more this movie stands it. It's incredible. It's just knocking down movies left and right. I see it at conventions. So it's gone beyond horror now. So I didn't even know that was in the movie. So thank you.
No problem. All right. So kind of leads me to my next question. When you were talking about how the school was not really willing to work with the production, that actually leads me right into my next question, because I've seen the movie so many times, and I just realized recently that your character is actually never seen at Woodsboro High School. And I wanted to ask you, have you ever been to that filming location? Was there ever any scenarios where you would be filmed at that location?
What one?
At the Woodsboro High, which is actually the community center that they actually did film?
I think I went down there the day they were filming just to meet everybody. I think I got there that day, and it was like you go on set usually and you meet everybody, and then you go to wardrobe. And
Okay.
no, but I always wondered about where Randy was. He out of school? I mean, we were all classic Hollywood, looked a little older than high school, but we still looked good and young. But I felt I was too old to play high school. But since we all matched in age, kind of, and looked good. But
you all killed it, man. It was perfect.
Well, thank you. But I was wondering if we looked too old. Like Nev looked young enough, and Rose looked young enough, and I was like, do I look? But I guess I was either in high school or like, maybe 1 year out. But no, I never went to the high school.
Okay. Well, so my next question is, so it's not really, well, it wasn't really a common thing. For instance, the very first scene with Drew Barrymore at Casey Becker's house, all of these filming locations I've actually been to myself.
Jesus.
Yeah. And,
bro, so, I haven't even been there.
I was just going to ask you.
Bro, I haven't even been there.
So it's not really a common thing. If you're not in the scene at that location, it's not really a common reason why you would be there. Is that right?
No. You're doing your job, like I said, this was my second huge movie, my third actual movie. And I didn't want to fuck up, piss anybody off. I was like, Jamie Kennedy should be seen and not heard. When I did my stuff, I did it. And when not, I retreated act behind everybody in the shadows, waited to be called. I was a good little actor boy, and I was the lowest on the totem pole. But in terms of like exploring and stuff, I know actors that go and do that and go. And as I've gotten older, and if we're shooting at a really dope location, I'll go check stuff out. Or if it's a big scene or a big stunt, yeah, I'll do that. But normally, no, it's not. You don't go and do that because you're in your own world. And for me, I was just in my own world. I was just making sure I did a good job.
For sure. So, since the filming wrapped for the original and 2 and 3, have you ever been back to around that area, around Petaluma, California, just to stroll down memory lane? Just any of those locations at all?
You know what? You're asking me these questions. You're asking me like a fan, and you have to understand is that I'm in it. It's like a job. You know what I mean? It's an amazing job. But you're like living this beautiful fantasy, and I did it. And it's like, it's so interesting, but because it was a job for me, and it was a great job. Have I been to Heilsburg? And I ended up dating a girl for a long time who was from Santa Rosa, if you believe it or not. Isn't that weird? I always thought, what was that? And she kind of had Wiccan qualities. To this day, I think she's a Wiccan. And that was always weird because I never heard of it. I've gone to wine country and definitely San Fran, and I've been around it. I haven't really like spent time in Healdsburg again, no, but I have been around wine country. But I haven't gone and looked. But I guess I could have done that, but I haven't done it, no.
Gotcha.
I guess now the time is to do that, though. It's been enough time.
Gotcha. Okay, well, the reason why my questions are like that, like a fan, is because that's exactly what I am. But I'm also a creator, so
yeah. No, I mean, but I totally get it. But it's like I've seen Scream maybe 3 times.
Really?
And when it comes on TV, I don't even stop. I just go. I don't even stop anymore because I'm lucky. I've got used to it. But again, that's only after years of doing this.
Yeah. I'm
not being an asshole. It's interesting.
No, I totally get it, man. All right, so to the next question. So this brings me back to the house. As far as Google told me, it was scene 118, and
yeah, that was it.
From everything I've read, that whole filming process at that house was a real pain in the ass, and it took forever. And I've always wondered, because I've been to the house. I actually shot a fan film at the house last year. I've always wondered, because the house is so big, when you guys were in between scenes or when filming wrapped one day, were you guys allowed to like take naps in the rooms? Because there's so many rooms that are not even seen in the movie, I
did. There's a room upstairs that I kind of carved out. I felt a little spooky in it, but the house is new and crafty, or at least it was.
Yeah.
And I did that actually. There was like that one room up that kind of connects with the hall. I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. I went up there, but not that much. We go to our trailer, but yeah, we did. There was a lot of little nooks and crannies. So I did that. I chilled out a little bit.
Cool. Yeah, I've always wondered, I know these questions seem really random, but these are the things I want to know. I'm not going to ask you, like, did you have a good time filming the Scream movies? Because I know you've answered that question a million times. So, all right. So my next question is, this might be a little bit more common. This might be one that you've answered before, and if so, I apologize. But so you were definitely a fan favorite in the franchise. And in Scream 2, when your character was, spoiler, when your character was killed off, a lot of people were disappointed. I'll never forget the theater that I was in when I was 12 years old. Everybody was breathless. It was crazy. It was not a good moment. And I wanted to ask you, that you know of, was there ever a scenario where your character would not be killed off?
Yeah, I mean, the simplest answer is you don't write it.
Yeah.
But the harder answer is, yeah, I mean, like, the more this movie ages, the more people really hate the fact that I was killed. And when Scream 4, I went to that premiere, and Bob Weinstein told me to my face that he made a mistake, that they should have kept the character, whether that was, just talk or not. I believed it. And he was like, we really could have let your character go more. And I thought, that's so cool. But I will say, somebody really hit me. I don't know what it was. It was a convention, and they said, that's why Scream is so good, though. It kills the characters that you care about.
Well, I will say that it definitely added something to Scream 2. It added a feeling of, you don't really know who's safe at this point. However,
but Nev, Courtney, and David are.
It's Scream 2 in 1997. You didn't know
Scream
that?
2, no way.
No way.
In Scream 3, you started feeling like they were not going to get hurt. In Scream 4, definitely. And now Scream 5, no way.
Absolutely.
So that's that those three aren't going to be killed.
But what you just said, when Bob Weinstein told you that he made a mistake, he absolutely made a mistake. It shouldn't have been those 3 OGs. It should have been the 4.
Do you think it should? Let's answer that question before we go to the next question.
Yeah.
How many OGs do you think should have been in there? I mean, I hope maybe Bob was telling the truth. I mean, there was no reason for him to literally say that to me, but maybe he was saving face. I don't know. But how many OGs do you think they're in there? Because there's other characters that were killed that the people didn't want to see either. So how many would you?
Nobody wanted to see Randy killed. Nobody in the world wanted to see Randy killed.
Wow. Okay. This is really good to know. I've never heard a 4 OG quartet. Interesting.
Dude, that's the way it should have been. But I want you to be rest assured that you did such a great job with that character that it doesn't matter. People will remember you. In Scream 3, you're mentioned. In Scream 4, you're mentioned. It's because you were memorable. And everybody knows. There's Randy should, even in Scream 3, they even make a mention. They even say, probably some pissed off fan that they killed off Randy in Stab 2. That's what it was. They made a mistake, man. But
that's awesome to hear. I mean, the way you're saying it, because people have said it a lot, but the fans know. And it took me about 20 years to listen to the fans and realize you're right. Like, Randy should be there. Yeah. He should be the one voice. If you want the audience to feel, here's why I actually totally agree with you right now. And I've never said this before, but I don't give a fuck. We're in pandemic. Is that you're so right. And because cinematically, why Scream works so well, there's a myriad of reasons, but one of the greatest reasons is that the audience feels they are in on it. Not like a typical horror movie where they feel they are in on it, but they actually have a guy that is in the movie speaking for them and narrating to them and for them, saying all the things that they are feeling, because Kevin did that because he obviously is a super fan of horror movies and he knew how to do that. So then, as all of this stuff is happening, I do believe you are correct, because the audience keeps that connection through Randy. Now, there's been other replacements. MTV, I guess, had some characters, and I guess on the fourth one, Hayden and maybe Emma Roberts and somebody else had characters that kind of did Randy-esque things. But yes, I actually technically think Randy would not have been killed because he's that smart. No one else was saying the shit that he was saying, quoting Prom Night, quoting fucking Mrs. Voorhees. Yeah. So you're correct. So actually, it is a mistake that he was killed. I do believe you, because he was too smart. He would have never walked in front of that van. And this isn't me saying I should be brought back or anything. I'm just talking to you, and after talking to enough of you guys who have studied it ad infinitum, you've convinced me that you're right.
Well, it was a decision. Like I said, it had an impact when I was, like I said, I'll never forget what it felt like when I was sitting in the theater. It was a shock. And, it seemed, I swear, like in a weird kind of subconscious way, instinctual kind of way, it felt like that's not right. That shouldn't have happened. And it definitely should have been the 4 OGs. And not only that, but I don't think there was another actor I know that there were other actors that auditioned for the role, and obviously you got the role. And there's no way that they could have. There's no way that anybody else could have been Randy Meeks. It was you.
I appreciate it. I mean, look, you could have had a Jason Lee Randy Meeks. You could have had a Seth Green Randy Meeks. You could have had a Breckenmeyer Randy Meeks.
Yeah.
I don't know who and a couple other guy Randy Meeks, but you had me. I mean, and I really, when I read the breakdown of the role, and when I talked to my agent, she got me in, and when I read the sides, I said, there was so much dialogue, and it was so meaty, and it was so like, and Quentin Tarantino was, just such a, was just starting to be, well, he was already a force, but he was like full, like every tip of everyone's tongue in the video store and story and how that was happening. And I'm like, this is a Quentin Tarantino type of guy. Like, this is a guy that would have worked with Quentin. He would have learned from Quentin, and that's how it really got me. I read a lot about Quentin when I was doing this movie, because Quentin worked at the video store and he was obsessed with film. And I thought that's how Randy would be.
Yeah. Well, dude, to say you killed it is an understatement. It's timeless. It was a
Oh, you're very nice. The writing was incredible and the directing was incredible and my co-stars incredible, but I was lucky to be in it. Thank you.
No problem. All right. So the next question, I hope that it's one that you've not been asked before, but I'm not going to tag anybody. You're not going to get in trouble. I just really want to know. So
dude, I kind of don't give a shit. I'm saying whatever. It's COVID.
So after Scream 2, did you ever kind of sneak into a theater with your head down so nobody would recognize you, just to kind of see what people's reactions would be when your character was killed off?
Oh, that's really interesting. I don't know, dude. There's shit I done I don't remember. It's weird. I remember two things. I remember, God, this is such a good moment in my life. It's just you just might remember this. Is that I think the second premiere, I was at Man's Chinese, and I'm in there, and I'm with my whole family, and my dad is there, and he's from the South. And then I get killed. And he goes, "You did?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm dead." And he goes, Dead? And I'm like, "Yep, I'm dead. And he goes, "I'm going to go have a cigarette." And he got up in the middle of Man's Chinese and fucking went out and caught a butt. And I just thought, that's my dad. Like, that's exactly what he'd be. All right, his son's dead in the movie. Time to have a cigarette. He doesn't care. What else? And I was like, that's funny. Did I go in? I don't really remember. I don't think I did. I did that with movies. I possibly did. I don't know if I actually watched that reaction, but I definitely went around. We definitely had a bus, and we definitely watched people's reactions. I don't know if I studied mine.
Okay.
I remember two things, though, about that night. Jerry O'Connell sitting with all my sisters, making them laugh at the premiere. Christina Ricci introducing herself to me and just saying that she thought my character was great. And I was so freaked out. And she was just like, "You're so great." And I'm like, this is Wednesday. And and meeting Matthew Perry and like being a huge fan, and then like him kind of looking at me like, "Who are you?" And then I walked away, and I could see in the back of his head, he goes, "Oh yeah, that's the dude in the movie." But at that point, I was way gone. Those were like the three memories I have of the premiere, and my dad smoking a cigarette.
All right. All right. So, okay. So I want to talk about Scream 3 for a second. So in Scream 3, obviously, your character is no longer with us. And, you know, I saw that one in theater too. And the best moment of the movie is when somehow creatively they thought of a way to bring your character back for a cameo. It was incredibly creative. I think it was genius writing how they brought you back for a cameo. And I wanted to ask you, it was, and I'm asking, I don't want to ask your opinion. I'm asking if you actually know this to be true. Did they do that because they knew damn well that your character was a fan favorite?
So we filmed it. We filmed summer of '97. It came out Christmas of '97. Well, I remember I Know What You Did Last Summer was big. And then we came out and we were bigger than that. And then the whole horror movie was really off to the races.
Yeah.
And then we came out, and then I believe we filmed Scream 3 in the summer of '99, right? It was like probably a year and a half after instead of the year like Scream was. So let me see. So it was 98. And then, so I think I remember it, and I was starting to get hot and do other movies and stuff like that. And I was done. I reconciled myself to the fact that, you know, I was out of the Screamverse. And then they wrote me in. I don't know who told me. Somebody said, you know, I think I can. And maybe it was Wes or Marianne, the producer. I'm not sure. And they said, I think we can get you in. And I was like, yeah, I'd love it. And I just remember, though, I was doing it. And I think at that time we were worried. We didn't want Scream to jump the shark. You know what I mean? Like, I believe it was supposed to be one movie. And then I believe it was such an overwhelming success. They figured out the second movie, and obviously that worked really well. And I believe the third one, I don't know if Kevin wrote as much. I think Aaron Kruger wrote it, who's also an amazing writer. But I think that's when other people started getting involved. So they didn't know what it was going to be in terms of, you know, the thing. I don't kind of remember. I just remember I was like, oh my God, I'm doing a cameo. That's cool. I'm like, am I going to be alive? Am I going to live on tapes? Am I going to keep doing tutorials? And then it was just, I think it was probably just because I was a fan favorite, like you said.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
But it came out in February of 2000, right?
Yeah.
So it's crazy because I forgot that. And that was also weird because it didn't come out at the Christmas like the other one. And we were like, why?
All right. So another question, you know, I've had this conversation with some of my friends that are also fans of the films, and in Scream 3, your sister is actually introduced as a character right before they show your cameo, and people argue with me that it's not really possible to bring you back for another film, but I disagree. I think there's two ways that it could be possible. I think that they could show her character again, maybe inside her house, and they show you in a picture on the wall because you're her brother, right? Or with the technology they've got these days, they've got that thing where they can do like a flashback scene, and they use the technology to make you look like the same, you know, the same age. And It's not.
But there's a way to bring it back creatively. There's multiple ways. People have pitched it.
Really?
Oh, cool. Yeah. There was a huge writer who said this great thing. I forget who he is, but he's huge. He tweeted it, and I approved it. He never retweeted me back. Thank you, big writer. He's huge. I think he's like a comic book guy. And he said, well, here's one way that people always say is that Randy masterminded it.
Mm.
That's easy to do, and he faked his death.
He's the movie guy. I mean,
yeah, that's the go-to one. There's another one where if you did flashbacks, you could do the de-aging, which I never heard, but that could work. There's the other one that Randy has a twin, which also could work.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then there's the other one where you kind of can go in the multiverse, like with Quentin did at the end of Once Upon a Time, and like it played out in a different multiverse, right? Yeah. Or this big writer also said something. What did he say? He said that he had a great take on it, that Scream 5 will work if it has a new nightmare. Well, he didn't say it, but this is what everyone said it was, a new nightmare element, where they're making the movie Scream. This is such a bizarre take, but it's super meta. And you see the actors in real life. So you see Courtney, you see David, you see Nev, and we're making Scream 5 again, and blah, blah, blah. And as you're making the movie, you also see them in their life, what are supposed to be their real life, and things start happening to them. And then that way they can come to people in the real life. Like they can go to Rose, and Rose will be like, being Rose, like in her life right now, like, talking about activism and saying like, what are you guys talking about? It was just a movie. Or like they come to see me and I'm at at the comedy club and I'm like, you guys, it's a movie. And they're like, well, what would the rules be? So it's a fascinating take. And I don't know, it's on Twitter. And I thought, oh my God, and somebody said that's kind of like New Nightmare, but it was such a crazy take. And I thought, that's kind of what the world needs right now. Yeah. I have no idea what 5 is going to be about.
Alrighty, so that kind of leads me into my next question too, regarding Scream 4. Now, this is going to sound definitely like a fan question, but I'm a fan of Scream 4 simply because it's a Scream film, but it felt very disconnected from Scream 3, 2, and the original in the way that, and here's an example of what I'm talking about. In the opening scene of Scream with Drew Barrymore, that scene is not funny. It's not funny at all. It's terrifying. It's very stressful. It's very intense. And and there's nothing in Scream and Scream 2. I mean, there's definitely some moments that are funny, but when the actual kills are taking place, it's not. It's serious. It's murder. And in Scream 4, it felt different. And here's an example. When I think Anthony Anderson, when his character was killed, he gets stabbed in the face in his police car. He steps out of his car and there's blood going down his face and he's swinging around and Ghostface is standing behind him. And right before he falls down, he says, "Fuck Bruce Willis." You know what I mean? It was just that everybody in the theater started cracking up. And that's not what I was used to, and it felt disconnected. It felt like they were trying to appeal to a different audience, and that's not. It wasn't. This is not Scary Movie. This is Scream. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Interesting. That's really interesting. I don't remember all the details, but yeah, Anthony was the only person to cross-pollinate, which is interesting because at one point I went in for Scary Movie 2 and I thought it would have been weird. And I had a great meeting with Keenan, but he's like, yeah, man, he's like, you were in Scream, and kind of was like, I don't think we should cross pollinate. And it's right. We shouldn't. So Anthony came from the parodies into the actual movie. And I guarantee he improvised that line because he likes to do that. He's a good improviser. I remember the beginning of the movie. I don't remember that part as much, but I remember the kills being so over the top, and I thought this is crazy. And then it was like comment on a comment. I thought it was really inventive. I actually really liked the opening. I understand what you're saying though. Scream out of the gate took you into a horror realm.
Yeah.
And then started showing you that horror could be funny, but on the edge of your seat funny.
Yeah.
And you're saying Scream 4 kind of started funny and that wasn't working for you. I understand why, but I think since they already built the universe, they probably felt comfortable with that.
All right. So to kind of wrap this up here, I wanted to ask,
yes, sir,
just real quick. So in order, in your opinion, what Scream films are the best?
It's obviously 1 and 2. I mean, I can't say it's a toss up because Scream was the original and it did it and invented it and changed it and twisted it. No movies were ever doing like meta like that. So Scream has to be number 1.
Oh, absolutely.
And Scream 2 is so good and it holds right up. The only reason it's number 2 is because it wasn't the original. That's it. But it's fucking awesome.
It's so good, man.
And I know. And then Scream 3, I don't know enough about. Like, I haven't seen it forever. I had to go to the premiere. I'm pretty sure I did. I would say maybe Scream. I don't know. You could toss about those two. You might be able to toss it up on those two. It might be in order the way they are, but I did really like Scream 4.
I didn't really like Scream 4. I thought
a lot of people didn't, but a lot of people also liked it. But it'll probably be in the order. It'll probably 1 and 2 very close, but obviously 1 takes it. And it'll probably be 3, 4. It'll probably be like that. But there are people that really like 4, and people think Scream 3 kind of jumped the shark a little bit.
I loved Scream 3. I really did. I mean, there were some things about it I didn't really love so much, but I thought the writing.
How much money did it make? Did it make the same amount? Did it make like $100 million?
I have no. There's no way it made the same amount. But I don't know. I really don't know. I find myself defending Scream 3 all the time when I'm talking to other fans.
Yeah, like I have to watch it again. But you're right. Like I don't hear that as much. I don't hear people started saying they had issues with Scream 3.
I loved it.
But the fact that you're adamant about, I mean, I remember liking it, but.
I just thought Scream 4 was trying to be something new, even though it was directed by Wes Craven. I liked it. There's no way I didn't like it. It felt disconnected, like I said earlier, but I don't want to get back into that. I know I don't want to take up too much of your time. So my last question of the night is going to be, and I know you've been asked this a billion times, but I got to do it, man. So what's your favorite scary movie?
Dude, it's too hard to pick. I just give a list. I mean, probably the scariest movie that's ever had an effect on me was The Exorcist.
Okay.
That is a masterful. I haven't seen it in a while, but it's masterful.
Movie for sure.
In no particular order, but maybe Exorcist might be number 1. Rosemary's Baby, high up there. Halloween, masterpiece, up there. Friday the 13th. Every iconic one you can think of in the genre are up there. So I'm gonna give you Friday the 13th for the gore slasher. I'm going to give you Halloween is not a slasher. It's more of like a psychological mind bend. Exorcist is more like a spiritual holy war. Nightmare is pretty psycho in the sense that the one place where you feel comfortable is when you sleep and you can't even escape it in your dreams. And that's a psychotic premise that can really, like the devil coming in your body, scary. That is the only thing that's scarier because you think, oh, I can sleep, and no, he's in your dreams. That's crazy. Like I'm breaking it down. And in terms of like puppets and shit, you got to kind of give Chucky some love because it was beautiful for the genre. I don't know enough about Hellraisers, but those are the top of my. I mean, Halloween is, and obviously Scream is its own thing too. But I was in it, so I kind of forget. But Halloween's up there. Halloween might be the perfect fucking horror movie. It's fucking insanely good.
Yeah. Dude,
it's 42 years deep. 42 years deep, and it still is masterful.
Yeah. All right. So one last question before we end this, and it is, if there was another horror franchise that you know of that you're a fan of that you could have been a part of, and by your last question, I'm going to assume it would be Halloween if you could be a part of it. Is that true?
Give me some ones, and I'll tell you yes or no.
Okay, Friday the 13th.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think there's some great stuff in there. I think it's great. I actually they said Jason X was interesting. I have to watch that. Give me what I think. Yeah, I heard it was good. I love the Halloween world. Give me another one.
The Conjuring.
I definitely could have been in that world. It would be interesting to see where you'd put me, but yeah, that's a great world. Next one.
I think, in my opinion, I think you would have fit nicely in Halloween, somewhere in there.
Yeah, dude, it's totally true. Like, I gravitated toward Halloween. I saw Halloween as a young boy. It freaked me out. My sisters freaked me out. It's such a good movie. Mike Myers is iconic. It was low budget. It was cameras were on shopping carts and skateboards. William Mask, the Shatner mask. I mean, it's just so good. And then there's a mystical element that you kind of can't kill Michael Myers. And the actor Donald Pleasance is so. I mean, obviously Jamie Lee Curtis, but Donald Pleasance is a real good actor. So I think Halloween would be an incredible universe to be in. Incredible.
Awesome, man. Well, they would have been really cool to see in there. All right, Jamie, it was an honor to have you today. And during these trying times, I sincerely hope that you and yours stay safe and healthy. And I appreciate you being on the channel. And I hope you have a great night, man.
Thank you for having me, dude. I appreciate it, man. Congrats on this channel.
Thank you very much.